Today is Sunday, May 8th, 2016, and this is Tom Dillon of the Lifetime Liberal, and this rant will be in response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times on Friday, May 6, 2016, Truth and Trumpism. So Dr. Krugman aptly points out, now that we know that we have the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party, whereas we also know that the Republican establishment is rejecting this party, what type of campaign are we going to have, and what role does the media play in it, and can the media be fair to both sides, and will the media also do the dirty work that is necessary to get the type of issues brought to the forefront and relentlessly hone in what the issues are in this election and not what the candidates, especially Trump, want to talk about. Can they get closer to the truth, let's just say, to the actual issues? And there's a number of things that are going on right now. Now, number one, Hillary is well ahead in the polls. Not only is she ahead in the polls in all the Democratic states, she's also ahead in the polls in many of what we would call the battleground states, and she is showing some resilience in the polls in what would be also considered traditionally red states. But will the media bring this out, or will they have the tendency, which they used to do, and I saw this in 2016 quite a bit, trying to indicate that the election is much closer than it really is, to try and get that excitement going that people need to watch. And so part of that is what Trump has been saying, and some of the Republicans have been saying, is that the polls are meaningless. Of course, the polls are just a snapshot of what is going on right now. The polls, the polls in reference to Trump have shown him being consistently ahead for the last 8 months. And the Republican establishment is now all upset because he is really going to be the nominee, and he doesn't represent their values. So will the press follow the issues, and will the press not try and make things look closer than they are? So number one, the polls are meaningless, and will there not be any type of false equivalency? So, as I said, will we really hone in on the issues? So let's just take one issue as an example. Trump has advocated for tax cuts, and he has not indicated in any way, shape, or form how those tax cuts would be paid for. Whereas Hillary has indicated that she is willing to have a slight increase in taxes, and that she has priorities where this money would be headed. Again, that's just one issue. Trump has not shown any detail for anything. The biggest example would be the wall. He's been talking about the wall for 8 months. He's thrown out a couple figures there. He said it can be done, I think, in less than a year. And where are the questions on what about the environmental impact study? How long will that take? How much money will it cost? Will we need to increase ICE, immigration and customs enforcement on the borders for the next 30 years if we're going to build the wall for another 1,000 miles or whatever is left to build the wall, so to speak, so that it cuts across the actual territory between the United States and Mexico? And how much will it actually cost? Those types of issues, he just fluffs over, and trust me, we're going to build a great wall. Nothing going on there. Also, another thing, this will be a dirty fight. And of course, again, the false equivalency is that both sides do it. Whereas Donald Trump has waged his war to get the nomination, and presumably will wage his war to get the presidency, basically fighting dirty, specifically on personalities. And of course, he mentioned that last night when he talked about her being a serial enabler of her husband's indiscretions, let's just say. Whereas Hillary is going to be sticking to the issues and the priorities for the American people. So there's, again, a false equivalency. Again, personalities is all Trump can talk about, but he's not big on the issues. How much will the press hold him accountable to the issues? And I think the biggest thing, and Dr. Krugman points this out aptly, is that the issues, will the press sanitize the issues in terms of why Trump's following is really based on racism? That they are, in essence, the Tea Party equivalents. They are angry white men. And again, how much will this be sanitized? Because there have been studies, a fair number of studies, that have shown that the Trump's following with angry white men is not necessarily based on economic issues. It is based on racism, and it is based on bigotry. And it is about those angry white men who are concerned with their status and their declining role in society. And how much of this will really be reported. Now, as an example, if you could give me a mic and give me a camera lady, a camera person, I could go to all those Trump rallies and I could bring that racism out in 4 or 5 or 6 questions, because that's what the press doesn't do. Oh, why are you voting Trump? Oh, I just want him. He's going to shake things up. We need an outsider to run the government, And of course, these people they're talking to are on Social Security. But the point is, the press doesn't sit there and say, why do you believe this? How do you think he's going to shape things up? How is he going to get laws enacted? How is he going to get the money to pay for the wall, the $120 billion, the $150 billion, and decrease taxes on the wealthy and still be able to balance the budget? Where are we going to get the money to pay for all of those other things? He says he wants to increase the defense budget. Where are we going to get the money for that? How do you think he's going to do that? Well, he's just going to shake things up. Well, not too good an answer. Put me out there, I'll be able to do it. And of course, will this type of thing really be what's reported? Will it be reported that 95% of his audience, is white? Now, remember, I believe that the white vote will be about 70% this year. So Trump needs the white vote. Now, of course, that white vote is split Democratic, Republican, but we also know that the black vote is predominantly Democratic. We know that the Hispanic vote is predominantly Democratic. We know that Trump would need to get, 46% of the Latino vote, and he's polling in the teens there. So we know what is actually going on as this race is unfolding. But the thing is, will the press report it? Will they actually ask him these things on the issues? Will they actually ask him to stop talking about personalities and to start talking about the issues? Will they ask the second question, the third question, the fourth question, the fifth question, such as Chris Matthews did? And the other thing is, I don't think that it will affect those who are already going to vote for Trump because they have already made up their mind. But I think that if we ask those questions, it will solidify in the minds of those who are independent, those who normally may not want to vote, those who are undecided because they sort of like the way Trump talks. Will it help those people decide that this guy has absolutely no business being in the race? Now, the last thing I want to mention is Rob Reiner was on Morning Joe the other day. I don't like to watch Morning Joe because all I see is white guys in there with Mika, and they're acting well, except for Eugene Robinson and a couple ladies. But Rob Reiner came on a film about him and his son going through addiction, which I'm very, very familiar with, and basically indicated that Trump is absolutely useless, no one should be behind him, and that it is all about race. And they just blew a frickin' fuse. Now, the thing is, and they would not let Rob Reiner finish because they felt they had already asked Trump all the right questions, that he didn't respond and nothing had happened. No, they did not ask all the right questions. They did not probe deep enough. Did they go a little further than some other reporting? Yes. But did they say, Donald, just shut up, answer the questions that's been asked, don't go out of it? But Rob Reiner, again, brought up the main thing. Trump's support is not based on economics. It's based on racism. It's based on bigotry is based on angry white men and their decreasing status in society, because they are not looking at America and thinking that it is going to be any good in the future, because their role has declined. Will the press go after Trump? Let's hope that they really do.